What's going on, everyone? It's the Fantasy Football Almanac, back at it with another fantasy football video. Today we are going to be talking about NFL draft hot takes, with the draft just 2 days away at the time I'm recording this video. It's right around the corner. It's right here. My heart is pounding for these players. I'm really hoping Bijan lands somewhere good, Jahmyr Gibbs lands somewhere good. Really excited to see how those quarterbacks shake up, because we really don't know. I mean, Bryce Young, probably the number one pick, almost guaranteed at this point. But other than that, it's really a crapshoot. We have no idea. But anyways, before we get into it, if you guys could, go down, smash that like button. I am answering every single comment. So you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Let me know down below what your draft hot takes are, because I'm sure there are going to be so many. I mean, the draft is so wide open every single season. And subscribe to the channel. Turn that notification bell on so you don't miss another video. With that, though, guys, let's hop right into it with our first hot take. And I think this is somewhat of a spicy take, probably not the spiciest, but it's that Zay Flowers is the number 2 wide receiver taken off the board. I mean, this is somebody with the elusiveness that has been compared to Antonio Brown, who, in his own right, a very good player, arguably the best wide receiver of my generation. Either way, Zay Flowers, a great wide receiver, and well, I'm not saying he's going to be Antonio Brown. I'm not going to say he's going to be even close to Antonio Brown. This is somebody who could potentially be the second wide receiver off of the board. I mean, this is somebody with a ton of buzz going into the season right now, despite going to Boston College, which I think is great. This is somebody with a ton of character, which I know the NFL values pretty highly. I mean, this is somebody who would cry after losses despite playing at Boston College. And this is somebody who, despite getting NIL deals to go play at D1 schools, decided to stay at Boston College and play out his last year there. Not only that, he was very productive this most recent season. And while I am a little bit concerned with the fact that he did have his breakout relatively early into his collegiate career, playing 11 games in his sophomore season and having over 900 total yards, 9 touchdowns, really breaks onto the scene his senior year as well. Almost 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. I don't think the ceiling case is that high for Zay Flowers, but I think as a slot wide receiver, he is going to be pretty valuable to teams, especially teams who just need a check it down option early, because this reminds me of somebody like Deontay Johnson, where he's just going to be open like that at the drop of a dime. He can play in the slot, primarily a slot guy in my opinion, but he can also play on the outside if he really needs to. That's why I do have Zay Flowers as a second wide receiver taken. Either way, though, guys, totally forgot to mention it. I should have mentioned it first in the video. But Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, finally getting this deal done. We weren't sure if it was going to happen during the NFL draft. We weren't sure if it was going to happen after the NFL draft. But finally, these teams come to terms. According to my knowledge, the exact terms are the Jets and Packers swap the 13th and the 15th pick. I think the Jets give up a 6th round pick, a 2nd round pick, and then a conditional 1st round pick next year if Aaron Rodgers is able to play 65% of the snaps. Which, honestly, I think a lot of people are saying it's a win for the Packers. I think this trade is a win for the Jets. I mean, you get a guy who was an MVP twice in the last 3 seasons. Yes, he is going to be older. Yes, there is some concerns about age. But a guy who can potentially make you a championship team for the potential of only a 1st rounder and a 2nd rounder. Well, yes, this 1st rounder could be a little bit of a weird situation. If Aaron Rodgers is playing over 65% of the snaps, I would be pretty surprised if the Jets don't make the playoffs. Considering how good their defense is, considering how many playmakers they have on their offense, they go out and draft somebody else as well, whether at 15 being somebody like an offensive tackle or even another wide receiver to help out Aaron Rodgers. No matter what, I think this situation is really good. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play 65% of the snaps and gets injured and the Jets stink, then it's okay. Who cares? Because you're going to end up with a top pick again to gear up 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers for next season. I do really like this trade for the Jets. I think it's a great trade for the Packers as well. I think it was really just a win-win in this situation. Now Jordan Love stepping in to be the quarterback 1, somebody I've drafted just about everywhere on Underdog Fantasy. Simply because, I mean, this is a quarterback 1 who's not being drafted like a quarterback 1, despite being in a pretty good offense, in my opinion, and another team that could take a great playmaker this upcoming season. I know the Packers organization, they're not really a fan of taking big playmakers, but if Jackson Smith and Jigba's looking at him on the board, I think that's a great pairing between him and Christian Watson. Either way, though, that's enough about the Aaron Rodgers trade. Moving on to my second hot take, and that is Bijan Robinson going top 10. Right now, it does make some sense for him to go to top 10. That's why this is a little bit less spicy of a take. My spiciest take is going to be my last take, so stay tuned so you don't miss that. Either way, Bijan Robinson going top 10. I think it makes a lot of sense. Right now, the number 1 team projected to get him is the Atlanta Falcons, who do pick at 8, I believe, in this upcoming draft. So it is entirely possible that Bijan goes top 10. Not only that, they have a pretty good offensive line, A head coach that wants to run the ball down your throat in Arthur Smith. And Tyler Algier is the number one running back. And well, I did like Tyler Algier. He was somebody I drafted a ton last year on Underdog Fantasy. He's no Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is his own breed of human. I mean, he is special beyond belief. One of the best running back prospects I've seen. Certainly the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. And that's why I think it's not really a stretch to say he's going to go top 10 here. I think it does make sense for him to fall outside the top 10, but I think once you get past top 10, top 20, I would be surprised if Bijan Robinson is not a top 20 pick. I would be actually pretty mad if Bijan Robinson is not a top 20 pick. Either way, Bijan going in the top 10, would love to see it. It would be really interesting for the NFL draft. And in my opinion, it would be a good boost to running backs, a position that historically has been pretty put down and suppressed these last couple of years. I think the running backs don't matter narrative is pretty overrated as well. I mean, yes, they don't matter as much as a great playmaker or wide receiver. Yes, they don't matter as much as a great offensive lineman, but these players still do have an impact. And if you're getting a blue chip prospect, outside of the top 5, I think it is a great shot, a worth it shot, and that's why I do have Bijan Robinson going in the top 10. My next hot take is that Will Levis is the second quarterback taken, and a lot of really respectable people love Will Levis. And well, me personally, I didn't like the film. I am not a professional quarterback evaluator. If I were, I'd be in the scouting department right now. I mean, I would love that maybe one day after I watch a ton more film. That would be awesome. But either way, Will Levis is being very highly touted by analysts everywhere. And well, again, I don't really like Will Levis. I don't think it would be a surprise to see him as the second quarterback taken, especially with his traits. I mean, you look at the way this guy's built, he's literally built like an NFL linebacker. And yes, well, he does turn the ball over a little bit too much for my liking. And me personally, I would not draft him as a second quarterback. I mean, my personal regular NFL quarterback rankings are Bryce Young, then CJ Stroud, then Anthony Richardson, then Will Levis. I have Will Levis, my fourth favorite quarterback in this draft. I would not be surprised in the least to see him as the second quarterback taken off this board. So, well, yes, I have problems with Levis. The NFL doesn't have problems with Will Levis. A lot of GMs really like him. I think he really fits what Chris Ballard likes in a quarterback. And the Texans haven't been sold on CJ Stroud. Actually, Will Levis is the betting favorite right now to go number 2 overall. And his odds have changed significantly at number 1 overall, going from plus 2,000 to be drafted first overall to now plus 400 as of the time I'm making this video. Well, again, not a huge Will Levis fan. I would not be surprised if he goes higher than people think, and that could potentially mean the quarterback too. Moving on to my last hot take, and this is easily the spiciest take in my opinion, is that Kayshon Boutte sneaks into the first round. Well, yes, Kayshon Boutte performed poorly at the Combine. Combine, in my opinion, does not really matter all too much for wide receivers. As long as you are a good wide receiver who's showed promise on film, I think Combine does not really matter all too much for an NFL wide receiver. And this is somebody who has shown talent right away at the collegiate level in his freshman season, breaking out almost immediately and looking like somebody who's going to be a lock to go in the first round of the NFL draft. I mean, when you watch him, his film is electric. And well, yes, there are a lot of concerns with Kayshon Boutte. I think the talent alone makes him plausible to be a first round pick, especially a late first round pick. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to end up on a team like the Chiefs. Well, people are a little mad that he only ran a 4.5 at the Combine. That's still good for 74th percentile in the entire NFL, which in my book is absolutely fine. His height and weight are a concern, but they're a concern with pretty much every single wide receiver in this draft class. My one concern with him would be his explosion grade, which he graded out very poorly and in both metrics and weighed down his Combine overall. But even still, Kayshon Boutte, somebody who, again, was very talented, we will see him, I think, higher than a lot of people think or lower than a lot of people think, simply because the range of outcomes is so wide. I wouldn't be surprised seeing a team take a chance on him. Again, in my last video on Kayshon Boutte, I compared him to George Pickens, and I don't think something like that is too far off, not in terms of his play style as much, but more in terms of his career trajectory in college, simply because this was somebody who broke out very early, then dealt with a lot, and didn't really have as great of a late season sophomore junior year, but then it comes into the NFL and breaks out almost immediately, and we're thinking, oh my god, this guy was great right away in college. Why would he not be great in the NFL? Either way, though, guys, that is going to be it from me, my draft hot takes, along with my summation on Aaron Rodgers. Hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, go down and give this video a like. I'm answering every single comment. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on so you don't miss another video. It is the #1 way to support me. It's totally free, and you can always change your mind later. With that, though, guys, as always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.